I am Dr. Mohammad Iqal from Allama Iqbal Open University. I welcome to all of you in the course Teaching Models and Strategies in Science Education with code 6773. Today I will share with you about laboratory method of teaching of science and I will discuss with you today some of the aspects of laboratory method, in which I will share with you first of all the definition of laboratory method, and then of course the steps of laboratory method, and I will share with you the Edgar tale as well of learning regarding laboratory method, and then I will also discuss that this laboratory method is used in problem solving as well, and then in last I will discuss with you the merits and demerits of laboratory method. So let's start. So first of all, here is a cartoon for you, and well, what's written on it? Everyone make mistakes, and mistakes leads to new scientific discoveries, and scientific discoveries take place in labs. So lab work is very much important to correct your mistakes and to explore, to research certain things in science. Okay, first of all, the definition of laboratory method, what it is. A laboratory method is a planned learning activity dealing with original or raw data in the solution of problem. It is a procedure involving first-hand experiences with materials or facts derived from investigations or experimentations. Okay, next, what is the aim of laboratory method actually? The first aim is to give students first-hand experience. The second one is to provide student participation in original research, to develop skill in the use of laboratory equipments and instruments, to make use of power of observation and reasoning, to enhance higher order thinking skills. I will discuss it later as well, that how this method develops higher order thinking skills in students, and to make learning easier and permanent, and the last one is to build scientific attitude in students. When students perform experiments in labs, they definitely develop scientific attitudes in them, and they know and they understand that how the science works and how we can investigate any phenomena during experiments. Okay, next, there are certain steps while performing laboratory method. First of all, preparation or introductory step. In this step, which provides for motivation and orientation, the following factors should be taken into account. The first factor is determination of laboratory work to be done. First of all, you have to determine what are you going to perform in the experiment. And second one is determination of work plan. You have to plan certain activities which you are going to perform in the laboratory. And then the second step is actual work period. The laboratory activity should take the form of a supervised work period in which groups or individuals have their particular work to do. The students can work individually or collectively on a particular problem or on different problems. Directions must be very specific, and the length of the work period should be determined by the nature of the problem and the objectives. And the third one is the culminating activities. In this, the following steps of activities may be used. First of all, students restate the problem that the group has been working on and explaining its nature and importance. The second one is the review of plan for solving the problem and organization of plan for recording the data gathered. Presentation of illustrative materials are special contribution by students working on special problems. The fourth step in culminating activities, it's the last step actually, and you have to sum up what have you found in experiment. Okay. Students are working on individual projects. Special reports may be given before the group together with an exhibition of their work. Notebooks and written reports may be completed for final record of work. Work of the class may be exhibited and rated by members of the class or by competent judges from the outside. It exhibits of various projects may be set up and explained by then sponsors. Okay. At last, tests or examinations may be used as a means of measuring achievement relative to certain outcomes. Since it would be impracticable to have too great a variety of culminating activities, those chosen should be adapted to the particular needs of the class. You should not follow all the culminating activities. It depends on the nature of the class, nature of your objectives, nature of your study, which you are going to investigate in the laboratory. Okay. Some skills are required while performing teaching through laboratory method. These are explaining and presenting experimental information, questioning, listening and responding to process queries, giving directions. You should be very much expert on it while giving direction to the students, and then demonstration. Yes, teacher should be much expert on demonstrating the phenomena, because you have to sometimes you have to demonstrate that phenomena before the class, and then at the second stage class have to follow that instructions and that phenomena, and they perform that particular experiment on their own. And then pre-lab preparation, it's very important aspect. A teacher should be skilled in planning before the experimentation. And then post lab findings, you have to conclude, you should be well aware and expert on it by summing the whole findings and investigations, and then helping students to perform that experiment. It's an art again. Preparing laboratory course, yes, you should be skilled in preparing laboratory courses as well. Well, next, some laboratory teaching methods. There are some methods written over here. There are some methods which I did not mention over here. Well, experimentation in laboratory is one of the method which is widely being used in laboratories in Pakistan. Demonstration method, slide booklets, tape booklets, wall charts, video recording or interactive videos, computer simulated experiments. All these can be happened in a laboratory, but as I told you that some of the methods are widely being used in Pakistan, and those are experiments and demonstrations. Teachers are used widely these methods. In experiments, it aims to train students in problem solving with incidental acquisition of information and motor skills. Emphasis is on discovery, original procedures and solution of the problems. And in demonstration, its process of presenting or establishing facts or principles. It is a procedure of doing or performing something in the presence of others, or either as a mean of showing them how to do it or illustrating a principle. Okay, next, its chart showing you the influence of laboratory method on the learning. On the top you see its practice word written over there, practical work that you actually perform in the laboratory, and its impact of that practical work on the tools and techniques. When you perform any practical work in the laboratory, you sometimes it's our aim that you should got our understanding and skill to improve the tools and techniques related to that particular learning, and then you can improve conceptual models for that particular aspects, and then be aware of and give reflections as well, and then this practical work empowers you to be empowerful by doing certain activities related to your experimentations. This practice you can perform in labs. Okay. The next is approach to problem solving. As I told you earlier that this method is very helpful in problem solving in science especially. Let's see the steps in problem solving. You have to identify the problems, and then you can see you have to state the objectives, and then assumptions and facts, and generate possible solutions, and determine the most likely solutions, and conduct experimentations. You have the problem statement, then you have to see certain solutions for that, and then you have to choose one solution which is appropriate for that particular problem, and then you perform experiments. Okay. So that's the cone that I was talking to you in the start, the Edgar Dale cone, which you can see that if you teach students through lecture method, the retention rate is only 5%. Student can retain that information, the whole information, 5% of the whole information. And if you teach them through reading, they can only retain 10%. Audio visual aids, then they can retain 20%. If you demonstrate certain experiments or certain things, they can retain 30%. And if you discuss the things, the concepts in groups, they can retain the information 50%. And practice by doing. This is what we are doing. This is what we do in actually in experiments and laboratory. Practical works. Practice by doing certain things. They can retain that information 75%, and teach others or immediate use of that information. Then retention rate is 90%. So it's very important to use a laboratory method in teaching of science, because students can retain that information taught through laboratory method 75% of the whole information. So it's very important to apply this method in teaching of science. Now, merits of laboratory methods. Here are some merits of laboratory methods. Build scientific attitude, as I discussed with you before, sense of achievement. When you perform certain experiments and successful experiments, you develop in yourself a sense of achievement that I have performed, I have completed this experiment. And then close relationship between student and teacher. When they work together to perform any experiment, any activity in the lab, they develop better relationship between them. And then psychological methods of teaching, yes, and then develop practical skills as well. Learning by doing, retention of learned material is, as we have discussed earlier, 75% of the information you learned through laboratory method, you can retain that information. Contact with reality. When you performed experiments, you have to plan, think, and then perform, and in this process you actually contact with reality, what is actually happening in the nature. And there are some demerits of this method. All knowledge can not be verified through experiments. And the second one is shortage of resources. Sometimes you don't have the resources to perform that experiment in laboratory. And then of course in Pakistan especially, lack of funds. We don't have enough funds to perform certain experiments and purchase certain equipments, especially for science. Next, students may feel heavy burden when they have to perform certain things on their own on an individual basis. They feel burden on them. Teachers find it difficult to attend to the individual needs of the students. Sometimes it's very difficult while performing experiments to cater the needs of individual students. And in last, there is need of experienced teachers and experts to perform the experiments. Some safety tips for labs as well, because you have to work in chemistry, in bio, in physics, even in mathematics there are certain labs. You have to keep in your mind certain tips as well. First of all, think safety first. Before performing any experiment, you should keep this aspect first. Know emergency responses, know what you are working with, use the smallest possible amounts of the materials you are using, follow all safety procedures, report dangerous activities or situations, store and handle hazardous materials safely. And if you don't know, ask from anybody what's the solution of this problem. So that's all from today's session. I hope you have learned many things regarding laboratory method, and I will suggest you to read your course material as well for further clarifications and for further developing understanding regarding laboratory method. Thank you.